because of because that happened to be what we were on when we're starting the stream. We're gonna go around. Welcome to Castle Run. I'm your DM, Elijah, and we're gonna go around, and everyone's gonna introduce the character that they're playing and give us a sentence or two about them, and then also what kind of spider their character would be if they were a spider. You are first alphabetical. Ooh. I think that would just be a spider with a gun. Oh, why? All right, hold on. Oh, I see why.
I can fix it though now.
Now it is.
Because no one
I
heard
see it coming through.
Chat, do you hear us, chatters?
Yeah, I forgot to switch it over to. I forgot to switch it over to. Yeah. Well, now,
Okay,
yeah.
go
No,
again.
Ask the question again. Ask the question again.
what kind of a spider would Atticus be?
Yes. Atticus would be a daddy long leg.
Oh yeah, that's the smart answer.
Yeah, I just thought of it
That's
off
canon.
the top of my head.
It wasn't something we drafted.
But they didn't hear Atticus is a human fighter. They are a giant human, tall, handsome Southern Belle that comes from a long bloodline, primordial bloodline.
Just to be clear, we can canonically just describe our characters as being handsome or beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
for sure.
Atticus is objectively beautiful.
Hot as
We
hell.
all are objectively beautiful. Did you see
We've
the
all
portraits?
seen the character. Yeah, we've all seen the character portraits.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd be Atticus's daddy longleg.
Okay.
That's what they are.
Oh, I think, am I next?
Maybe. You know what? This is bad because I
You
don't.
think we only do this every time and I can never remember what the
I
order
can't
is?
ever remember either what character alphabetical order it is. I think for sure it is.
I think
Fauna.
it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's me. My name's Aaliyah and I play Fauna, who is a human witch, but she also has mysterious horns that we're not really sure where they came from or why she has them. So that will be fun to discover at some point. She has a familiar, the cat, who is a black cat. And yeah, she does magic and shit. She would be, I think, probably like an orb weaver because she likes to hang out in the forest and make pretty webs.
Those are one of my favorite spiders.
They're a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm next, unless I can't do my alphabet correctly.
Oh no, I think Maury's next.
Oh, it's Maury! Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. Hello,
Yep,
my
that's
name
right.
is Thaddeus. My name's Thaddeus. I'm playing Maury Weaver. He's a halfling warlock, and he didn't choose this life. He found a mysterious...
Oh no, you cut out there.
That was a mystery, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's about as mysterious as you can get.
That's pretty fitting for Maury, honestly.
Yes.
Okay, maybe let's go on to Nyx and come
Yeah,
back
let's
to
do
Maury.
Nyx.
Sounds good. I'm June. I play Nyx. She is a shadow elf sorcerer, and was newly freed from an enchanted locket. Has no memory, no sense of identity, doesn't know how old they are, who they are, any of that. But they now owe the party a life debt, 30 lives, and are trying to figure out who they are. And if they were a spider, I hate to be basic, but it kind of fits. Probably like a Black Widow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
it's fitting.
that's a good one. Yeah.
My name's Tyler. I play Peren, and Peren is a ranger and bard, and he has a mockingbird companion named Amos. He also has a stool companion whose name is Secret, and I think Peren would be. I'm definitely not looking at Google. A peacock spider because of very well thought out reasons that I definitely could back up.
Yeah, could you extrapolate on that without reading the first paragraph of the Wikipedia article on a peacock spider?
Yeah, for sure I could.
Oh, I think he froze.
Oh no!
Wink.
Oh no! We lost our peacock spider. All right. Well, if we've got Maury back, we'll go back to Thaddeus. Do you want to introduce Maury for us and tell us what kind of spider Maury would be?
Hopefully this is coming through a little bit better.
Yes.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. Hello, my name's Thaddeus. I play Maury Weaver, and I am a halfling warlock. Maury is a humble weaver that started very low in his shop, and he found this book that presented it to himself, and he's just kind of trying to figure out what this book has in store for him. And then for a spider, I would say probably, I don't know, I'm going to go with the jumping spider because they kind of get everywhere, and Maury's pretty good at like finding himself in spots.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it like that.
And he also jumps everywhere. Little known fact.
Canonically, yeah.
And also, I already took the one that literally has Weaver in the name, which I'm realizing now probably should have
It's okay. I had to come up with the second. It's fine.
If you want to take that one, I actually have another one that I would want to change.
Too late.
So if you
It's
want to do that
canon.
one, you
Yeah.
It's canon.
Yeah,
I'm
in
gonna just start jumping all over
the
place now.
one shot that we do with all your characters is spiders. It's already locked in.
We call that one Castle 8 Run.
I fucked it up.
I'm last. That's me. That's easy. I'm Hugh. I play Vox, a half-elf rogue with a little bit of a temper who's currently making some big life decisions and might be a little bit worse or might be a little bit better. I also did not Google anything for spiders. Turns out I don't know much. I think if Vox were a spider, she'd be a crab spider. Crab spiders are very known for their patience during a kill, sometimes taking up to a week to pounce on their kill.
Oh shit! All right, that's pretty good. A week?
Are you sure they're not a northern?
They'll stalk
bear
him for
spider?
a week?
Yeah, they'll stop for a week. They're
That's
crazy. And no,
wild.
she's not a bear spider.
How does a spider remember for a week that it's been hunting the same thing?
It takes
I
a
don't know,
lot
but
of notes.
Look how
The spiders are awesome as hell.
Wow!
That's a crab spider.
Wow!
Gross. Get that off. Get that off the screen.
I'll go. I'll leave. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, when last we left everyone, the most immediate things were that, Vox, you had been in exchange for some information as to why you were wanted for regicide, for the recent death of the Lord Edris Salt, or should I say the recent murder, supposedly by your hand. In order for that information, you agreed with a go-between for one of the biggest proprietors of black market items in Esparia but you spoke with Mira about tracking down a mysterious and heavy black orb for her in the depths of an enormous curio shop called the Black Mountain. So whether you choose to steal that or come about by it honestly, either way, you have 24 hours to return with the orb to the House of the Five Tongues and deliver that to Mira in exchange for your information. With you were Fauna and Nyx. And you also managed to rope Mira's bodyguard, the large half-orc who has no name because Mira has taken it from him. And so you have dubbed Jeff, spelled Geoff. You've roped him into this thing along with the incredibly nervous but knowledgeable when it comes to at least the Black Mountain, if not the city in general, the incredibly nervous little kinku, Cricket.
Cricket.
We didn't see Peren all of last episode, who everyone assumes just wandered into the House of the Five Tongues and immediately took up in a corner somewhere amidst the busy crowd and proceeded to get obliterated. Being as this is your first time in even, I mean, you haven't been in a village in a while, let alone a city this big. So, and Atticus, we left you and Mori leaving the House of the Five Tongues to go try and track down an old contact of yours in the city who is a blacksmith in the Sundered Hearth, named Burgent Fellhammer. And that's where we left off. And I think as we come back to this, we're actually gonna open up on one little note actually before, because we're gonna open up with where Peren was. Before that happens, I am gonna say that Atticus, you'd sent that, you saw that young, probably maybe even like 13-year-old monk that was headed into the tavern and gave him a coin to go find Vox and the rest of the party, I think, and let them know where you were headed, at least. Or was it to... I can't remember if it was to meet up with you or just to let them know where you were headed.
No, it was just to let them know that Maury and I were heading into the city to...
That's what I thought.
Go on a little walkabout.
I think before you do this, you're heading out. You've given that monk the coin to go find your party. I think you feel a tug on your sleeve, and Bert is just standing there next to you and holding up a little note.
A note?
Yep.
I'm gonna open that note and just be like, I didn't know you could read or write. Open it.
Bert gives his little toad shoulders a shrug.
What is
it's
it,
not
Lassie?
It's not because you're a toad. It's like because you're a gnat, and a lot of gnats are illiterate. Anyways,
I think Bert gives you a very understanding look and a nod. Bert's not taking offense to this.
Maury is just patronizingly talking down to Bert, trying to get him to talk.
Maury's so proud to be taller
yeah,
than someone.
Maury, I think you can barely talk down to this 3-foot anthropomorphic toad in armor, but
I'm gonna pat them both on the head. That open.
And yeah, Atticus, you open the note and you see it's just 2 simple lines. Just says, I'm going with Vox. Every quest needs a knight.
Atticus reads it and he's like spoken like a true knight, and pats Bert on the back, and
No insight check needed. When you give him this pat and you like give him your blessing and send him on it, you can see that Bird is like beaming with, I think with, I would say not even pride, just happiness.
I'm gonna get on my knees and look Bert in the eyes. I'm like, if you need to go throw up because you drank so much in the tavern and you need your wits about you, I recommend it. I recommend it.
Hold on, let me do a little.
Then I'll give him like a harder pat to kind of.
Yeah, let me do a little. It's not a bad constitution check. You give him a little pat, and you see he gives a little like. And his like his toe cheeks kind of swell up a little bit. And you just see him slowly kind of like lean to the side and spit, but there's a lot more than just spit there. And he kind of comes back a little bit and nods his head and turns around and heads back into the House of the Five Tongues.
Atticus is gonna wipe like a singular tear. He's like, they grow up so fast. One day they're just a squire, and then they're nuts going on their own quest.
Oh my goodness. Hold it together, Atticus. Hold it together. And like Maury pats the back of Atticus's calf.
You're right. Where's Peren, by the way? Probably find him. And him and Maury, unless Maury wants to do anything, we'll head off to the Sundered Hearth district.
Yeah.
Underway, let's go.
And we are going to cut back to when you all arrived at the House of the Five Tongues. Peren, you slipped right in the door quickly. Immediately went to the large circular bar that kind of is in the center of the high vaulted, enormous one-room tavern that is the House of the Five Tongues. And I think you can tell, I mean, Peren, did you head in intending to drink alone for the night, or did you head in intending to get drinks and bring them back to the party?
I think right now where Peren's headspace is at, he's not thinking that far ahead. So I think he walked to the bar and ordered many drinks and had not yet decided whether those were for him or for the group.
Fantastic.
Pardon me, can I get just like maybe 3 flagons of wine, 4 mugs of ale? Do you have anything like clear? Do you have any like high proof? You know what I mean? Do you have anything?
Yeah, you see
strong?
this half elf with kind of like long, wavy auburn hair, kind of like gives a nod at you, and he turns around, sorts through some things, and begins setting various vessels and pouring from either small bottles that he takes from beneath the bar. He taps a couple kegs behind him, and as he starts to set these things out, go ahead and give me a perception check real quick.
Seven.
Cool. On a 7, you are on a 7. You're also going to need. On a 7, you're going to need to make a wisdom saving throw for me in this moment.
Rest in peace. Oh, 17.
Okay. On a 17. Oh, I guess you know what, you can actually do this with advantage too, because this would be a charm effect. So I believe you get to roll against those with advantage. So if you want to,
that was still my highest.
Okay. On the 17. You're looking at the drinks. You look past it's a busy bar. There's a lot of people milling around. And on the perception, you don't hear, there's so much going on in here that like all you do is you see this. And what you see is behind the bar, past more crowds of patrons, in the wall in the back, you see a door. And the door doesn't fit the aesthetic of the rest of the tavern. I mean, again, like, you're kind of in this desert city built in, or not necessarily in a desert, but like it's built amidst, these gorgeous red and orange canyons. A lot of the stone and things like that used to construct the buildings here are like that color. And things that go with it, a lot of the trimmings are gold or turquoise. But you just see this solid black arched door. There's no trim on it. It's just a solid black door against the far wall. What you do feel and what you are able to resist is that something from the door pulls to you. It compels you. And I think you shrug off the effect of this. But as you shrug off the effect, you can't help but feel that there's something. Go ahead and make an insight check for me.
22.
Okay. Oh, great. That's very helpful for me. On a 22 insight check, there is something behind this door that is older. There's something about this door that is older than anything that you've ever experienced. And you've been around a while. You were once your homelands were the Feywild. And there is something behind this door that calls to you, older than that. And you feel a connection that you don't quite understand, but somehow you know that you've felt it before.
Barkeep, that big guy over there, this is going on his tab, right? And he points a finger at Atticus and grabs a couple flagons and refills his pouches in his pockets. And
cool.
he
I think
starts
Atticus
towards
is
the
walking
door.
in the door. And you pointed at Atticus. No persuasion check necessary.
I wink at Atticus
yeah.
and see if Atticus winks back. Yeah.
Atticus, well, here's the thing, because no one saw where you went. Unless we did say, I don't think we did. No one saw where you went.
Atticus is the only one who saw Peren inside
at the bar.
of the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then perfect. We've connected all our dots.
Peren, hi.
Canon retained.
Hey, hi.
And then he goes to the door.
Cool. You head around, and I think, as you get around the circular bar and you begin moving through the crowds in the House of the Five Tongues, the background noise of everything starts to blur out. The conversation that usually you'd be able to sort of like pick it out as you wove among the crowds of patrons in here, it just starts to become this like nebulous of conversation.
Amos, we're still on the tower. Stay here. Keep an eye on Vox. I think she's going through some stuff. It's fine. I'm just gonna go check this next room, and then I'll come back if I need to come back. It'll be fine.
You want me to stay here?
Yeah, I mean, I think like she apparently is wanted for murder. I think Atticus was talking. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But just keep an eye on. It's fine. It's just a door.
Okay. Then I guess and I think in that moment, I don't think that this is a thing that you've been able to do with Amos before, but Amos gives you a little nuzzle, like kind of right behind the ear, right on that bone, and I think you feel a warmth, this connection. Is like Amos flits off to sort of go try and find Vox. It's almost like you feel this little golden thread still connecting you, in a way that you haven't before. And it feels like it gives you a sense of connection, somehow, beyond just, Amos being your highly intelligent animal companion. You reach out for the door, and I think as you reach out, like, you realize that there is a handle that you didn't see before. It's just kind of this, like, simple black knob. Each point you make contact, and the second that you make contact, you begin to hear just kind of this hum, this low hum. And as you open the door, you can see that you are opening the door kind of into this space that just sort of seems to extend in all directions. You can tell that there's a floor, and there seems to be, it extends for a ways, but it is just black, and I think you can tell, no check, that it's not, you're not just going to step onto the other side of the door and tumble into space. There's a solid floor underneath you, but as far as you can see in any direction above, to the sides, this floor just sort of extends. And it's very dim, but you think maybe on the horizon and above you do see very dim and distant lights, maybe almost like small dim stars.
Okay. Peren's just gonna walk through.
Cool. You walk through. You hear the door shut behind you. And give me one more perception check.
Is this with advantage or anything? 22.
Okay. On a 22, you feel like you're being watched. It's a feeling you felt before. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And although you cannot see the source of the voice, you do hear it. Surely you felt this feeling before.
Wouldn't be the first time, no. Peren's gonna glance back at the doorway behind him.
Doorway's gone. You are just standing, it's full 360, you're just standing on like that black surface.
So then, it's faint, it's fuzzy. But yes, I know you.
Oh, good, I'm so glad you know me. It would have been so painful to think that after our connection I was just ignored for so long. I've certainly felt so close to you over all these years.
I mean, no, that's mostly just the drinking, and Peren starts drinking.
Yeah, you start to, I think you find as you looked at, like, you're not carrying the drink that you were anymore. You're carrying this, like, it feels cold like metal to the touch, but it's just this black chalice filled with a, you can see as you kind of like go down to take a drink, it starts empty, but as you raise it to your glass, it just sort of fills with what you can tell is a pretty fruity red wine.
This is not what I ordered.
Well, far be it from me to not give a guest what they want in my own domain. What would you prefer?
Peren takes a drink. This is fine. But he says fine in a way that is very clearly intended as a ding to this person. Like, you really don't know what you're serving, do you?
You feel a touch on your back, and it sort of grazes down off your shoulder and beneath the neck, then flicks off. It is hard for you to make up your mind, isn't it?
That is the goal.
The goal. And I think with that, you feel a hand placed on your other shoulder, almost as if someone was walking behind you and is now, and you can tell, even without looking like in your peripheral, that there is like something. There is a figure like standing there with their hand on your shoulder, but they're almost like as black as the horizon too, and so you can't really make them out.
Yeah, Peren is like, he's not flinching, but he's pretty cold to this touch. He's definitely not comfortable with it.
Tell me, let's just cut to it. At this point, you must be tired of losing people. Every connection you make becomes a contract of loss. Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Do you choose the life of a wanderer because you know anyone you care for is already doomed? Or are they doomed because you do not have the courage to stay?
I tried. Look, you don't get to judge whether or not I did enough.
Oh, but I do. I've been there every time. I've followed you since your mother tossed you through that door into the Feywild.
I found a new mother who cared about me, and I found a father too.
And then you left them.
That wasn't... They weren't safe.
And it would seem you didn't care enough to try and make sure that they were. So tell me, what's different about this new group of people you find yourself with?
They're not... That's not... You can't punish people for being my family just because they're standing near me.
I am beyond anything that you know. I'm beyond ideas of punishment, ideas of justice, of fairness. I'm just there when things end and when new things begin again. When your mother tossed you through that door into another plane, did you think you could just travel through my domain and not attract my attention? How bold of you to imagine you can just saunter through someone's house, kick in the front door, wander around before leaving, and think that I would pay no attention.
I didn't choose to be there.
Well, I didn't choose to have you come tromping through my house, but here we are anyways. And I must say, I have enjoyed following you, Peren. In fact, I've enjoyed it so much that I decided it was time to arrange this meeting before, give you a little bit of agency before anything terrible happens to this new group of... Are they friends?
They're just people.
People you plan on leaving. I wonder what will happen to them when you leave.
Sometimes things happen. Sometimes they can be stopped. Sometimes they can't be. But and Peren's saying this almost like like something he's rehearsed in his own head. I can't be held responsible for everything that happens to everyone. I can't be held responsible. And he takes the largest drink out of this mug.
Yeah. There's a pause from this figure. And then you feel them. It's almost like you can still sort of see it, but you begin to see them on your other side, too. Yeah. You can choose whether or not to stay. And I'll tell you what. I've taken so many things from you over the years. I'll make a deal with you. As I am the Lord of Doors, I'll allow you the use of my domain just once, in exchange for some kind of sacrifice. I see, thankfully for you, the bird isn't here. That would have been an easy target. I think perhaps... And you feel like a hand just sort of like move over the stool.
Not Stoolie.
On your
No.
back. If you ever need a door somewhere, you need only offer up something that I want. Now, let's put you back, shall we?
What if I don't take this deal?
Well, then don't expect to be traveling through my domain again anytime soon. And I think in the darkness of this place, you don't see anything shift because of how dark it is, but it is like if you are standing on darkness and all of a sudden more darkness opens up underneath you, you don't see a difference, but what you do feel all of a sudden is just falling. You are following and your speed is picking up, and I think
Peren drinks.
I guess Alice in Wonderland, like tumbling down the hole upside down. Gravity is not an issue here, and you're able to take a drink. And I think, like in a tumble, you come crashing out, just out of this little alleyway, directly in front of Atticus and Maury.
Hey guys.
Hey, what were you doing in that alleyway?
What? You can't just ask a man about why he's in an alleyway.
If you asked me what I was doing in an alleyway, I'd be okay with it.
Is it sensitive?
The alleyway? I don't know. I didn't ask.
What you were doing in the alleyway?
You don't think I've had some fun in some alleyways, Mister?
Right. That's what I was doing. I was partaking in carnal worms.
As you say this, 3 Kinku and Little Hoods come skirting out of the alleyway and like running down another one that you just tumbled out of. Kind of all like
Yep,
squawking to each other.
those fellas right there.
Wow.
We were.
They seem nice.
Yep.
You known them for a while, huh?
I mean, as long as it takes.
Well, as much as I'd love to talk about what Peren was doing in an alleyway.
Yep, we got things to do, Atticus. Let's.
Yeah. Maury and I are heading to the Sundered Hearth district. It's like it's where all the blacksmiths and armorers and all that work. I have an old friend there, trying to figure out what's going on.
Where
with,
is
the whole?
everyone? What do you mean? I don't follow. Where's everyone else?
They're in the tavern. They went upstairs to meet with somebody, and I don't know. I felt like maybe since I know some people, I could work some stuff out for our friend Vox.
Right. And Perrin kind of just thinks, doesn't really do anything, just thinks hard about Amos.
You think hard about Amos, and you feel that. Go ahead. Ooh, how do I want to do this in the future? Yeah, make me.
Can I give you like a 1? Can I give you a 1 to 20, and you just use that to gauge how much of a sense Perrin gets?
Yeah, I think we'll call this like, because you're not there yet, and maybe on other level ups and stuff, we'd start to give you stuff like sight through. But I think for now, just basically, let's call it an insight check.
Okay.
Instead
12.
of animal handling. On a 12, you currently Amos feels I think feels comfortable at home, and also currently I think with, if not the entire party, at least someone from they feel like they're with someone and comfortable.
Okay. Yeah, let's go blacksmithing.
Alrighty.
By the way, when Perrin did that, he just his eyes glazed over and he just stared off into the middle distance. Didn't say, just kind of like.
Yeah, no cool animals crying. Nothing cool happened with your eyes.
No.
You just sort of went slack jaw.
Yeah, he just went very limp and a low moan, kind of.
We're having ourselves a little bit of a boy day, it looks like, and the girls get a girl day. Wow, that's
split the party.
that's pretty nice.
Where's Bert?
Yeah. Well, Bert wanted,
He had to be a white
I'm
knight.
so proud actually. From Squire to Not, wanted to go on a quest with the ladies.
Really fucking up that girl's day already, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Well,
Kind
I don't even know
of
what
a
gender
fuck up.
Bert is really.
I was just about to
To be
ask
honest,
that. Did we?
I don't know.
We've been traveling with Bert for weeks and neither of you have asked.
It's rude to ask. What are you talking about?
It's
Oh,
never
Atticus.
been
Not
a
gonna be
topic
like-
of conversation. There's
Honey.
no point in
Yeah.
asking.
They're also
And-
not talking right now, so
Yeah.
Right, but you know that he can write.
that is true.
You gonna make
Maybe I
him
have-
label himself? We've already talked about how he kind of has trouble with that.
How are you turning this around on me? I'm just saying you could have asked. That's all I'm
just
saying.
conversing here.
All right, I
Jesus
think
Christ.
since all three of us are here, we can finally decide: is a desert on the 5th level of a castle a good place to put a desert?
Yeah,
As
I
we
think
walk-
really what
We
we've
walk
learned.
on.
Yeah, I
What
think
we've
as you
learned during our
discuss
journey is that
the complicated the politics of discussing their a toad, what they're discussing with a toad their gender, and also what floor you put the desert on. That passes the time until you make it. I think as you begin to leave the merchant district, and right now it's night, so the night markets are out in the merchant district again. That's there's storefronts open that aren't open during the day. There are kind of booths that usually, aside from maybe some of the wares that are a little bit too larger and can be stowed away, these kind of little booths and tents are bustling now. But as you move through this, you kind of come to just this decline. decline in the street, and you're sort of looking down and you just see kind of this enormous sprawling circular set of buildings, and little almost like little lean-tos and things like that, and in the center of it all is you cannot see the flames of it yet, but you can see the glow of it. It is just this enormous circular tower. And I think through, there's all these slits and windows around the bottom of it. You can see this bright orange glow through, and there's kind of, even from this distance, even though, they would be fairly small from this distance as you're looking down on the Sundered Hearth, you see all these little channels and rivulets coming out from the base of this large circular tower that are just glowing orange, and you can tell they're almost like small streams flowing out of this thing just of molten ore, depending on what. And you see various like working with this ore to like channel it over to their own little spaces. But this is, I think, next to maybe the Red Keep itself in the center of the Noble District, like where the king, or in the case of the death of the king, the current regent lives, and then maybe the Black Mountain, which is far to the eastern side of the city, bordering the river. This might be the next biggest building in the city, is just this huge towering inferno. But again, you can't see the flame of it yet, just the glow around the base where things are flowing out. But I think even from this distance, like, the wind picks up a little bit, and as you're sort of at the top of this decline about to walk down into the sprawling area of the Sundered Hearth, it cools off a lot in the night here. It's kind of a desert environment. But you feel heat as just a little bit of a breeze picks up, and you can tell that it is the heat, like, coming off of the top of this fire inside the tower as it blows towards you. And you make your way down into the midst of this thing.
I think they added on to this since the last time I've been here. Looks way bigger than last time.
That's weird. Usually it's the opposite. Like, things look, bigger in your memory because you're small.
When do you think he was small last?
Who, Atticus?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What are you, like 20?
Yeah, sure. I'm 20.
Okay.
Times like 5, 6. I'm not good at math.
Okay. Weird way to answer that question, but okay.
Well, I feel like I've told you how old I am.
That doesn't ring a bell. All right, let's go buy some things. What are we doing?
I'm meeting up
Peren
with the whole
keeps
friend.
drinking.
Well, by me, I mean they don't know that I'm alive, but they know a thing or two about the town.
Yeah, as you were talking about this, you're already kind of making your way through, like, there's various, like, smiths calling back and forth to each other. You see, there's a multitude, just like the city itself. There are a multitude of different blacksmiths down here. But I think as you walk through them and you start to come closer to like all the forges around the center and closer to the heart of this tower, there is kind of a small cloister of these smiths that are where the dwarven smiths are. And while there are probably other smiths just as capable, there is a weight and a reputation to being a dwarven smith that the dwarven smiths are very eager to maintain too, so they kind of keep to themselves. And I think as you enter this space, go ahead and give me Atticus, I think I'm going to let you do it with advantage because you're looking for someone in particular, but all three of you can give me a perception check.
Maury window shopping.
I've rolled a 17 on the last 3 checks.
That's a 10.
Okay.
15.
22 total.
Okay. I mean, I think on the 15 to 17, Atticus, would you have described Burgent Fellhammer to the group at all as you made your way down there? Or are you just kind of like saying, I'm just looking for a friend? Are you keeping it vague?
I probably would have said, like, he's a dwarf. I probably would have, like, been descriptive.
Cool.
I would have been like, yeah, he's a dwarf.
Yeah,
like,
you're
very
all of
famous
you are
dwarf.
seeing a lot of dwarves right now. Kind of like
A
pounding
dwarf
away.
blacksmith. Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed?
I know, it's creepy. I mean, they're the only dwarven blacksmith that I really know, so... They got they got like a giant red beard, you know?
On that... on that 20, like, the 22 perception check, you are looking around, and you notice two things, Peren. You do notice there is a dwarf with kind of shorter gray hair, shaved close on the sides and kind of tousled on top, and actually kind of a shorter bit, like very big sideburns, but a shorter, just kind of a mustache too, but not really a full beard, and there's kind of like almost some braids in the, like, that come off from the sideburns, and these sharp blue eyes, and you sort of notice that they're this dwarf, you know, as the sort of the chaos of all these different smiths working on different projects. You notice that everyone was kind of giving this particular dwarf a very wide berth and working space, and you notice that their tools are a little bit nicer than everyone's. Like, everyone else, you know, is working kind of with these basic black iron. This person is working with, like, what looks to be some kind of, like, certainly must be very dense alloy, but has like almost this brassy sheen to it. The tools that they're working with. The 22 perception check also gets you something else, because you notice, you know, down here, I think, again, the dwarves take a lot of pride in their reputation as being excellent smiths, and so you kind of, a lot of the spaces set up here that they're working in, you know, there's higher ceilings in here, there's none of the, like, they can all afford to have a bit nicer space. And I think there's some of these, you know, the face of some of these smaller buildings too are open, so you can see the whole work area, but you can tell that some of them probably have small apartments directly above their working space too, so they don't have to travel home after a day's work in the hearth. And you also see that there are a significant amount of, like, displays. There are tapestries up in this, and it's, I think, pretty quickly in that 22, I think, Maura, you're noticing a lot of this too. You know, there's all these tapestries, and it's almost like displays of work that they've done. So there are like nobles up here with shields or weapons or armor, like, wearing it, that you would assume probably particular dwarves have crafted for these, and it's sort of like a display of what they're capable of on these tapestries. But on that 22, Peren, you notice something in particular. You look and you see this tapestry. And I think, give me a history check real quick.
13.
Cool. I think on a 13, you recognize, I think that you do recognize, like, there are two figures in this tapestry. One is the Lord Edris Salt, recently murdered. And next to him, you see there is a tall, broad-shouldered woman, long, silvery hair. She looks human, maybe a little bit older, like mid to late 40s. And again, like, there's, even in the tapestry, you can tell there's, like, this familiarity between the two of them, that if not his partner, is certainly someone very close to the king. she's standing there, wearing the armor, I think, of like the royal guard in the city of Asparia. But the thing that you notice is the sword that she's holding. Because the sword that she is holding, you've been around this sword now for a little while. And you recognize her hand on the pommel of Matchstick. And beneath the tapestry is this dwarf that everyone is kind of giving like a wide berth to in his workspace.
Wait, okay. So Matchstick, which we took from the Grey King's Keep, is in the tapestry on this woman's belt? Alright.
Is this noticed only by Peren, or do I notice it as well?
Yeah,
you don't notice the sword. You're just kind of like seeing a lot of these tapestries and stuff.
Oh.
Hey, is this the dwarf you were looking for?
I guess they don't have a red beard anymore. It's been quite some time since I've seen.
Yeah, it's been.
There's only one way to find out, really. And Atticus is gonna walk up to like behind him, and he's just gonna say, he's like, "I'll tell you what, Fellhammer, you are a sight for sore eyes, but you still smell like a pig pen. I could smell you all the way up the hill."
Give me a little persuasion check with advantage.
18.
On an 18, you see this dwarf whip around. You would recognize the like steel of those blue eyes anywhere as he looks at you, takes a moment, squints an eye. May the stars fall out of the sky. Is that Atticus Phoenix?
As clear as, well, there's a lot of smoke around here. Not as clear as the night sky. But yes, it's me.
Bless my hammer and anvil, lad. It's been decades since I've seen you last. You haven't aged a day.
Yeah. I have a good, moisturizing regimen in the morning and, just flex. Just, take care of myself.
All right. Keep your secrets. Just get, and you see, it comes up to, about your waist, but just you smell soot and sweat. And, you see, now that you're up close, you can see, all the little black flecks of iron and things like that sticking out of his gray beard. As you just get, I think even for you, strong arms wrap your hand, you feel just a little bit of a, I think a crack in your lower spine. Just sort of a nice little adjustment to your hip.
Oh my gosh, I don't think that vertebrae's been popped since the last time I hugged you. Oh my god.
Peren's gonna lean down to a passing dwarf and be like, "Hey, who are those two people in that tapestry?"
Yeah, you lean down to a passing dwarf. You can see this is a clean-shaven dwarf. Kind of black, curly hair, darker skin. Looks up at you. Well, those two people up there. Oh,
yeah, the one with the crown and the other one.
Well, the one with the crown.
Look, I didn't really ask for sarcasm so much as just I'm the customer.
Listen, I'm not. You're
right?
just
Customer's always right.
You're in Aspari and you're asking who the Lord Edris Salt is and the Lady Ursula Salt. I mean,
Ursula,
sure.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's it then. We're done talking. Okay. Well, all right then. I'll be on my way.
Yeah, you don't get a name.
You see, just sort of keeps about his business. He stopped to talk to you while carrying a bucket of molten ore, which is getting hotter. But you notice not wearing gloves, and that you can just kind of hear the sear on his hands.
Yeah, as he walks away, Peren puts an empty bottle of wine in his apron pocket and be like, "Thanks for taking this. Thanks, appreciate it."
Are you trying to hide that you're just slipping this in?
I'm just acting like this is a normal thing to do in a smithery.
Cool. He just kind of shoots you a dirty look. You've given him more to, and he doesn't have the hand, and he just keeps on walking. But yeah, Burgeon's gonna Burgeon takes a step back and sort of looks at you. I see you're running with different people now.
Yeah. Let me introduce you to my companions. Boys. It's boys day. This is Peren. I'm gonna point to Peren.
Oh yeah, that's my name.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, that's. And this is Maury. I've been traveling with them for.
It's been some time since I've seen a halfling down here in the Sundered Hearth.
Maury's window shopping. He's not part of the conversation. He's like waving from afar.
Cool.
They're eclectic. Let me just usually I'm the most eclectic one when we used to run together, but
you know what I will say is that you are always the most interesting person in a group.
I felt the same way about you. Oh my gosh. We need to talk more. We need to hang out more. Gosh, it's been forever.
I've been here. I haven't gone anywhere.
I know. You know me. I can't. Ever since what happened in St. Florent, I can't stick around in one place for too long.
Ooh,
but we definitely need to grab a pint while I'm here.
Here you go. I brought some.
Maury's at the group now.
Peren starts handing pints out of pockets.
Well, if this half-elf didn't think of everything. And you see Burnjik just kind of gestures back into like the opening of his sort of, it's this kind of half circle. You see a pretty large anvil there that there are, a couple different little trenches that run up to, gated off from some of the main ones where the ore is flowing. And there's kind of just, he's sort of got this bar along the back. There's a ladder that you can tell is going up to upper floor where his room probably is, but he's sort of got this bar in the back, and some pretty nice chairs too. So he heads back there and takes the seat.
You always had a taste for the finer things, and man, these look great.
If you can make them, why not make them for yourself?
Hey, I'm better at destroying things than building things. That was kind of always our deal.
That's very true. Actually, hold on. Let me make a little check real quick. Okay. You can see Burgeon's eyes fall on your sword, Atticus. Tell me, how's that chopper doing you nowadays?
He's gonna pull it out and just kind of like look at it. I think if this was a living thing, the amount of blood it's had on it, it would it'd be pretty healthy. But I mean, I got a recent tune-up on it, but if you're the one that made it, so if you want to take a look at it.
You see, Virginia's going to take the sword. Make another roll real quick. You see, he kind of examines it. Well, lad, I can't tell exactly what kind of spirit you have bouncing around in this blade, but would appear it's been anointed by something.
Yeah, we have another group of companions in town, and I think what their mom. I think it was their mom or aunt. They seem like a fun aunt. Basically, they seem like the fun aunt of the of a family system. But they enchanted it with something. I don't really know what. I haven't really got to fully use the enchantment yet, but you know, I can't stay in one place for too long. It takes a minute to use But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll tell you what, this group here, we've seen some crazy things, and yeah, they're good. They're good people. I'll tell you that much.
You know, lad, I owe you a favor too from the old days. The only reason any enchantment would take a long time to work in this blade is when I made it to be durable, but the iron, it's thick, it's heavy, hard for things to move through it. If you want me to give it a little bit more of a delicate edge, could speed things up a bit.
I mean, I'm not gonna say no. What do you take me for, a chump? But you know what? I appreciate that, but I actually
Wait, do you like looking at metal things? Yeah, look at these. And Peren does like a cool elvish flourish. He's like, see, I got this little quarterstaff, and I've got this mace, and there's like, oh, whoop-de-doo, and he's spinning them around, and then he connects them together. He's like, but wait, here's the magic trick, and then he does his little spin that his hands don't really make sense when he does it, and the mace drops out on that silver chain. Aha, yeah, look, see, it's like it's a whole thing here.
I'm always impressed when you do that. I'll tell you that much.
Morty takes lead of Atticus.
Give me an insight check real quick, Peren.
23. Just rolled a 19.
God damn, your dice are on fire.
Well, also like insight, I'm proficient with insight,
Yeah.
so like it's always gonna be decent. But I'm rolling 17s and 19s, and then getting my.
You're a true empath.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what Peren's known for.
Regent sees you do this, and it's less. You can see the dwarf is not impressed by your flourishes. He sees the weapon. He sees its construction. And you can tell that he is regarding you, not necessarily like there's more respect in his countenance towards you now. And also, it's not confusion. It's more, you can see he's very curious. But he doesn't say anything, just kind of gives you a nod and looks back to Atticus.
I'll tell you what, Peren is, I think they're pretty cool, honestly. Like, they're cool. Anyways, yeah, I mean, you know what? I would love a touch up on the blade. Thank you so much. You've always been so kind to me, and I appreciate that. But I really came here to ask you something. I haven't been in Asperia in quite some time, and what's going on with the claims of regicide in the city? Do you know? I know you know a lot of the stuff they keep out of what the common folk see. So you know.
Let me make a little roll real quick. You can see Bridget kind of looks around. Actually, roll me a persuasion check with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Peren's little flourish gives you bardic inspiration, by the way. You feel how cool those swishes and swirls look.
Natural 20. Thank
mind.
you, advantage. I've been rolling dog shit today too.
No bardic for you. Burgeon looks around. You are kind of, you're back in his space, but there's not a lot of other dwarves around on the outside. You can see a few, but I think the sound of all the different smiths down here, you can't hear much other than that outside of the space that you're all in. will admit it is a strange thing you coming around asking about the regicide. I haven't seen you in decades. I mean, word is they pinned it on the captain of the Royal Guard herself, Mavania Brighthand, and some accomplice, maybe a friend, a lover, old flame of hers, some half-elf, skulking type.
That sounds so familiar.
Well, word is, though, outside of the noble districts, that a lot of people don't believe Ravenia Brighthand could have ever been involved. Loyal guard she was, and beloved, not just by the Lord Edge's Salt, but by the common folk as well. Hard to imagine that a protector with a heart like that could ever see fit to commit something as dark as regicide.
Yeah, doesn't something isn't adding up, and I know Atticus kind of gets in closer. Like, I know I haven't seen you in a long time, and I know it seems very odd for me to be asking this, but you know how I feel when families, especially ones that hold power and are beloved, get usurped. You know what happened in St. Florian, and I want to make sure that this is there aren't other forces at hand. Against my better judgment, and he leans back. You know me, running always face first into something.
Let me make a little roll real quick.
Peren is like continuing to do these flourishes like on either side of Mari, like trying to make Mari's hair like flip in the wind, and he's just like and he's just like flipping it back.
Give me a performance check real quick.
Oh no.
21. Just rolled an 18 plus 3.
It looks cool. I think Maury, it also like, it kind of feels, it's sort of like, it's, I don't know if Maury likes this or if Maury does like this, it's sort of like that feeling of someone kind of playing with your hair while it's happening.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And with like light ASMR of the jangling chains.
Maury's just trying to like keep attention on the conversation that's going on while he's like hair's whipping about and stuff.
Atticus is also trying to be serious with their friend, and
this is like, happening in the background.
Yeah, he's like, it sounds so cool.
Peren is also using his gust cantrip to like make wind go opposite of the spinning, so it's like actually like the smoke is getting pulled into it and doing little swirls.
Yeah. You see,
he's not trying to think about all of the impending death from that black room where they were told everyone will suffer and die.
Virgin leans in a little close to you, Atticus, and you see, I think, no check needed, like, the decades that you have spent without seeing this dwarf have not lessened his fondness for you. And I think that there is, like, a kinship there that you, immediately being back in his presence, you feel, and you know that he feels it too. It wouldn't be the first odd thing that you've ever asked of me, Atticus Phoenix. And I can imagine, with the group of people you get around with, I can imagine why you might be asking. I'll tell you this. Vanya Brighthand locked away in the grotto dungeons beneath the Red Keep, scheduled to be executed not 1 week from now, on the first day of autumn, from the heights of the Red Keep. Now, I can't. And you see, as he says this, he reaches into his pocket and he kind of pulls out this ring of keys. Given my reputation and all, I can't be seen to have anything to do with it, but I started my profession as a humble smith, as a locksmith. And I'll say to this day, there's never been a key, I couldn't make for a lock that I've seen. It just so happens that yours truly is the one that installed those locks they still use in the grotto dungeons down there, so I'm not asking any more questions, but if you do happen to be traveling with someone who has an interest in righting this wrong and maybe finding who is responsible for the regicide, imagine that a lot of people would be very grateful for getting Captain Brighthand, letting her give the slip to the Regent Moorgrasp. And you can see, as he's sort of rotating through this ring of keys, he just slips one off, puts it in your hand.
I'm going to close my hand on his hand while he puts it in there and just nod.
Peren's going to put his hand on top.
Atticus is going to open. Atticus is
Maury
going to open
reaches
his hands
up,
and get
but doesn't make it.
Atticus brings his hand down enough so everyone can get their hand in on this.
You bring it down enough, I think, that you can reach it more, and I think Burgent looks at you. I might as well get in here, lad.
Remember how we used to do this with the old squad before a big mission?
If you're caught, it's coming back to me anyway, so...
Well, what do you want from I just don't take things for free. How can I repay this debt?
Get Captain Brighthand out of there.
Who's gonna
it's payment
nod and pull. Always been too good to me and my family, and gosh, man, I missed you. That's all I can say. I'm glad you're.
Too. It's been significantly more boring since you left.
While it certainly appears like Peren is just goofing around and spinning his weapon around, he's scanning the room and seeing if anyone is paying a particular amount of attention to this conversation.
Give me a perception check real quick.
19.
You see that there haven't been any dwarves or anything like around during the entire conversation. I think on the 19th, though, you do notice that, like, as Virgin sort of like slips that ring of keys back into one of his pockets, you do notice that dwarf from earlier that you slipped the bottle on, like, walking by, and he kind of like looks into the space, and like his eyes linger on Burgent for a little longer before he like passes by the opening and goes out of sight.
That won't come back to bite me, probably.
Um, and I think
Atticus
with
is gonna lean. Sorry.
no, go for it.
Oh, Atticus, is gonna stand up and look around. And he's like, I always knew you would do very well for yourself, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there for the journey with you all the way. But at least we had a good time in the beginning, and we got you going.
I think as you stand up, Atticus, you say that Virgin, looks up at you and nods, smiling. And I think as your perspective kind of changes, there's there's this larger platform, in the distance, maybe about 50 feet away, or where there was a pretty large crowd of smiths earlier that had begun to break up. And I think now as your vantage point changes and you look out, you see one of the openings into the furnace in the center of the Sundered Hearth. And it is, this kind of this massive gateway that, there's a sort of this river of ore pouring out into that goes off into different trenches, but you see the fire too. And I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
My dice have been so bad today too. Where did I put my D20? Out there. I think 19.
Okay, cool. And we're gonna get to the results of that. I'll ask a question. Since the party's split, we got to go back to what the other group is doing now. So we're gonna leave the Sundered Hearth on that wisdom saving throw. I'll ask a question. Do we want to just real quick take our 10-minute bathroom break now before we want
Please
to go? Okay, cool. Cool. We'll take 10 quick minutes to
been waiting.
Yeah, do that, and then when we come back, we'll be getting to the other half of the party.
Wait, so for the rest of this session, are we worrying about it, money, or not worrying about
We
it?
won't. We'll start doing it next time. And we'll figure out everyone's goal outside of session.
And we back.
What's the quickest way to do it?
Type /mod.
Well, I'm doing it on my phone is the thing.
Oh.
Let's see. Which it's probably in the settings. It's not there.
Yeah, I only know how to do it directly in chat.
Wait. You mean for Twitch, right? Not for the Discord?
Right.
Yeah. God, I don't know if there is an easy way to do it on your phone. How important is it? Because I can pull it up here.
Not very.
I'll do it at the end of the session then. Because otherwise I'd have to pull it up down here on my, and it might just be the same as doing it on my phone too, on my iPad. And it's tricky to find. Okay. So we're ending the time in the Sundered Hearth on that 19 wisdom save. And we are going to go back to, I think you are all headed down the stairs from your meeting with Mira, with Jeff and Cricket in tow. And I think reaching the bottom of the stairs, still in the House of the Five Tongues, you see now approaching you from where he was standing in the corner, or I guess where both of them were in the corner, you see Bert with Amos just perched on his shoulder walk over to you.
Look, I know you're not talking, but where's everyone else?
Just see him pull, like, he's got this little tiny journal that he pulls out a little...
Wait, but then he hands it to Amos to read.
And shows it to yeah, because I guess Amos could, because Amos canonically can talk to everyone.
Can everyone hear Amos?
Yeah. Because Amos is essentially a magical mockingbird, so has heard enough speech in her life. Actually, sort of the same way that a kinku does, to like what started out as just mimicry has turned into like basically like a grasp on common, at least as far as all of you know. Amos is going to look down at the note and sort of like just sigh. You don't have to. And sort of like bends down, is close enough because Bert's small enough to just sort of like take the journal and shut it with her beak. I don't know where Peren went. He wandered off in the bar and told me to come find you. I think Atticus and Maury left. I saw them walk out a while ago.
The Peren part makes a lot of sense, actually, for him. And Vox is gonna just look over Nyx, and so are we going then? Are you coming too?
I think Atticus mentioned before that he had some business he wanted to take care of, and Maury went along. I'm not sure what that business is, but yes, apparently I'm coming along with you.
I have my own business to attend to now over at the Black Mountain.
Don't we all?
Isn't that right, Cricket? And she's gonna look down at Cricket.
Mm-hmm. I can help. How can I help?
So if we're all set, then I guess just lead the way so we can get there.
Take us to the
and handle
moss.
this.
You see Cricket nods and goes scurrying out of the House of the Five Tongues with all of you in tow. Fauna, Nix, and Box, if you're following. I think Jeff kind of brings up the back along with Bert and Amos.
That damn monk stole my money.
And you definitely don't see a small prepubescent monk wandering around the and you head out towards the Black Mountain. Let me find my cue here. As you sort of make your way through the night markets and head to the east, I think that the Black Mountain comes into view pretty quickly. And it is this massive, you can sort of, on this side of the city, the actual canyons kind of make, a wall around the eastern side of the city. And as the Black Mountain is not surrounded by a lot of other buildings, so it's almost kind of like as you start to make your way there towards the eastern side of the city, the dwellings get sparser and sparser, and what buildings are just kind of like small, simple homes or dwellings, and they're kind of spread out, and not in great condition either. There's also not a lot of people wandering the street, like compared to the night markets where it's just full of people everywhere. You see a person come and go here or there but the further you go to the east of the city, the quieter it gets. And I think, there's that break in the canyon, or not the canyon, there's a break in the cliffs, where you can see, like, far beyond the shores, to the river Atraceles, which borders the eastern side of Asparia, and rising out of the ground, kind of towering over all of you, even from this distance, you see the Black Mountain. It is basically this enormous black pyramid that is emerging out of the ground. No lights on it on the outside. The surface is completely smooth and black, and almost kind of seemingly alien to, the materials and the architecture of the other buildings in the city. Max, I think you can tell me, did you ever come to the Black Mountain when you were in Asparia before?
I think that Vox has probably been all around Asparia, getting herself into lots kinds of trouble while Riviana was working with the Night Guard, and just kind of seeing how much she could get away with in places.
So you've been in this space before. You know the reputation, too, of the Black Mountain and its curator, simply known to most as the Moth. I think as you approach it, like, you start to see, still nervous, but Cricket, where it is usually like a fearful nervousness, there's now almost like an anxious excitement as you get closer to this pyramid.
Just a little bit further, and we'll be there. Oh, I'm so excited. This is Cricket's favorite place. Before we go in there, it's important that Cricket let everyone know. Don't touch anything. Very dangerous. Very dangerous, and there are lots of things and traps and curses and
Cricket kind of like, sure, everyone, anyone that wants to can go ahead and give me an insight check right now.
Isn't that a strange place for a nervous little fellow like you to be excited about? That was a nat 20, by the way.
I got
The inside
16.
check.
Yeah.
Okay. I think everyone but Nyx, you see this little Kinku kind of give a shit, and you can see that he's almost lost in a memory of something as he sort of like is talking about these traps and these curses. And then looks up at you, Nyx.
Dangerous place, but Kinku are very curious. When I had to leave my tribe, I came here, and Indrid, he was so kind and taught me about all the things in the Black Mountain on how to, things that are safe to touch and explore and learn about.
And you can see as he's talking on that nat 20, Nyx, there is like when, Kinku have their tribes, there were lots of different, I think, groups of Kinku running different, like, stalls at the night market that you saw. But when, for a Kinku to lose their tribe is to, in a way, lose their identity too. And I think that what you sense in Cricket is that when he lost his tribe, the Black Mountain became like a new home for him. And he attached to it in a way that, like, while, as far as you know from what he's said, and I think that any of you would know about the Black, it is run by, this might not be something that you would know, Nyx, but Vox, you would know that, like, it's run by the Moth, and he's the sole curator of this space. But the way that Cricket is talking about this is like this place became his new home. And he looks up at you.
Hurry now. Got to go find Indrid and ask, what are we looking for again? Orb, a heavy orb. Heavy orb?
A big black orb. Indrid, is that the moth?
Indrid. The moth, yes. Very kind to Cricket.
Cricket, you like curiosities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you any good at fixing them?
I'm gonna let that nat 20 insight check ride. Cricket doesn't say anything about that, but you can tell, I think, that, like, certainly as like a tribeless Kinku, his confidence is not at an all-time high. But you can see in his enthusiasm for what you've just said, I think that you have no doubt that he is probably very capable at tinkering with, and if not, maybe like making things, at least at like repairing things or modifying things.
Nyx is going to look back kind of hoodedly at and make sure that, like, Fauna and Vox aren't necessarily watching very closely, and they'll slip out Atticus's reading glasses and also the broken locket, and they will kind of pass both to Cricket and say, I know we got off on the wrong foot, or, well, technically the right one, given the situation, but if Cricket is indeed here to help, this would be a good place to start. Could you fix these for me?
Cool. As you're doing this, if you don't want them, go ahead and give me a sleight of hand check.
Cool. 15?
Cool. So, Vox and Fauna, you're only going to notice her pass the stuff if your passive perception is 15 or higher. So just your perception bonus plus 10. Hey, you pass this to Cricket. I don't think you
Mine's
need
18.
18. So you do see
Nice.
see Nyx pass these items to Cricket. I think Nyx, no check necessary. You're being kind to Cricket. I think in two ways, both in like, number one, asking him a question about himself, which is not something that people commonly do to Kinku anyway, much less one with Cricket's particular disposition. And two, you're entrusting him to fix something of yours. And I think that you see him reach out and take the things and look up at you. Cricket fix. Cricket fix. And tucks them away into a pocket.
With the locket, I'm not even sure if this is possible, but if it is, could you leave one piece off?
Leave? What piece?
Just incomplete. A shard.
Okay.
Thank you. I would like that shard back, actually, though.
Yeah, you
Just to
see-
make sure that the whole thing's there.
See, King. Hold on. I'm gonna make a little check real quick for Cricket. Hey, you can see Cricket just hands one of the shards back to you.
Thank you. Well, never mind. I'll ask you later. It's fine.
Okay. Everyone, follow me.
And unless anyone else has anything they want to do before you enter the Black Mountain, Cricket is going to lead you all in. I think as you walk into this towering black pyramid, you know, it's kind of like this cut into the pyramid, but the doors to this place are massive. They're just this enormous rectangular double doors, but probably like almost 20 feet high, and they seem to be made out of the same material as the rest of the pyramid, but there's some like kind of ornate brass filigree that like is on the front of the doors. And yeah, I think Cricket reaches up to the front, and you can see, just sort of looks up.
Cricket is here. Cricket is here with friends. Bring them to the Black Mountain. In, please.
And you can see the doors just, and I think standing there takes your eyes a moment to adjust. I think even with like the area of the city that you're in, there's still enough light between what is up in the night sky and then like the lighting and buildings even in the distance to provide an amount that it takes your eyes a second to adjust. It's very dimly lit in here, and it's also kind of hard to see where the sources of light are, but it is all illuminated in dim light. And as your eyes begin to adjust, you see I think the kind of like initial room that you're entering in, there's these high ceilings, and you just see stacks on stacks of things. There are old sets of armor, there are crates. There are items that you can vaguely make the shape out of, but they're like draped underneath blankets. There's a lot of clutter in here. I think the floor itself is clean. You know, you don't see a bunch of junk lying around on the floor. But the clutter in here is like, everything does have a place. And there are sort of these corridors that lead through the, I think, different displays of things that you can make out. But it is packed in here with all manner of trinkets and curios and some larger items as well. And you can also see, like, towards, you know, it's a pretty massive room that you're walking into, because it's not split up, and I think that you immediately get the idea. You can see towards the far back wall, kind of like carved into it, there's like just a recess staircase that's almost carved in, and so it's carved into it, and just you can tell it ascends to the next level. But you would guess, if all the other rooms in this place copy this room, each level of the pyramid is just a different single room as it ascends. But you can also see that there is immediately beneath the staircase, like that's carved into the wall that ascends, there's also a descending staircase going. So you imagine that even though you're walking in on the ground level right now, there are probably sub-levels as well to this place. And I think...
It just you in this place? You and the moth?
Just moth. Should you want Cricket call for entry? Help us find the orb.
Maybe not yet. I mean, there's so much here to look at. I'd like to explore a bit, if that's all right. Unless, will we disturb the moth?
No, we might find him. He wanders, but big space. It's easy to call him, but you don't want me to call? It's, give me a persuasion check, but with advantage, real quick. As you can see, the Kinku looks a little stressed, visibly stressed at the idea of not, like, just immediately calling for the moth.
Where is my boots? Okay. It's another nat 20 on the second advantage.
Okay. Yeah.
Got an 11 and a 20.
Okay. Cricket help. Find moth later.
Box is gonna pull out the drawing of the orb that she got and just pass it down to Cricket and be like, "This. We're looking for this in this place. There's got to be some sort of organizational system, or have you seen it?"
I'm gonna make a roll real quick. So I'm gonna do a luck check to see, because. And it's a big luck check, because if Cricket has seen this thing before, it's going to make what happens next significantly easier. So, but it is also like, to have seen this one item in a space where there are hundreds, if not thousands of things like this, is a pretty... So I'm going to say this needs, like, on the luck check, it's got to be a 17 or higher for Cricket to have an idea of where this is. And then anything on like a 12 or higher, Cricket's not going to know where it is, but maybe knows what like floor to start on. Hold on, that's cocked. And that fell off. So now we're not going to go look for that D20. We're going to roll a different one.
This is going great.
Also, if you roll low, Cricket should mistakenly think he knows where it is, but in fact does not. And you shouldn't tell us.
How very Dracula of Cricket.
Show me the money, Cricket.
That would have been a good idea if the roll had been low. The roll was not low. But it was a 16. It was one shy of the 17. So Cricket kind of takes it, looks at it upside down. And you can see, like, also, like, puts it in his beak and tears off a little bit, and
Third floor. Third floor.
You can see his eyes.
I think. Third floor. Very dangerous floor. Cricket. Injured warn Cricket not to spend time on the third floor.
Did he ever say why?
Too dangerous.
And he looks around, including like looking at Jeff in the back.
Yeah.
It's okay. And looks at you, Nix. Is with new friends. And keep Cricket safe. Cricket take you to the third floor. Cricket take you to the third floor. He'll show you.
And just
I
sort
think Nyx actually like kind of like not blushes, but like a little like kind of soft surprise smile at being labeled a friend for like the first time.
yeah. Cricket.
Fauna, as they're like walking or whatever, Fauna asks Cricket, does the moth ever let go of things or sell them? Or are they only a collector?
No, all the time love to make trades for other interesting things.
Okay, that's good to know.
Just trades, or does he sell?
Let's sell too, but more interested in making trades. Doesn't need gold very much, just likes all these things.
This is really a fire hazard. Be a little bit more willing to part with things and rather than replace them, I think.
Well, I don't know. But
you'd see, almost looks like he's ready to do something.
I can call if you want trade. You will know where item is.
No, that's good for right now. We don't want to bother him until
Okay.
we're ready to make a deal. You know, we're just window shopping. Like we don't walk up to somebody if you're just looking.
Third floor, come on, friends.
Did the moth say it was dangerous just dangerous if you touch things, right? Not dangerous to enter the third floor?
Sometimes
Much hesitation.
big curses are big. Bigger than Cricket now.
Has Vox ever traded something with the moth?
I think that you have, because your connection was Mira. I think that you have traded things to people before that you know were probably going to take them to the Black Mountain. You have never dealt with the moth before directly.
Okay. All right.
But I think you would also know, like, even people that come to trade, like, to get a face-to-face meeting with the moth is fairly rare. So even, like, a lot of people who go to the Black Mountain just kind of, like, end up wandering around this thing and, like, just kind of, like... Roll me a history check real quick, actually, before I see if I'm going to give you this bit of information.
Also a little afraid of moths since the last encounter with a moth was death.
It was death.
That was a nat 20!
Okay, so you know exactly. There are a few people who have gotten. So it's also a little. I don't know if the right word is impressive for Vox, but certainly that this Kinku, that Cricket, is on familiar terms with the moth is very unusual. It's pretty rare that people get a face-to-face meeting with the moth, and usually the way that trades are made is somebody brings what they believe to be an item that the moth would be interested in, some sort of curiosity, whether it's like associated with the arcane, and whether that's through like a curse or a spell or like whatever the trinket or the curio happens to be. Generally, they will come to the Black Mountain, state their intention to trade it. The doors will open to them, and they will usually find an item that they feel is a fair trade for what they're offering, and then leave carrying the item that they're that they traded, basically. And I think on that Nat 20 history check, you would also know that there are people who come into the Black Mountain seeking to trade something. Sometimes you've heard stories of people coming in trying to pawn an item that didn't really have a history or was a replica or something like that, and never coming out.
I am just gonna, I guess, as we're walking, just relay that information silently to my companions.
Yeah, I think you can find a way to do that. Like, Cricket's so intent on it, you know, he's not paying attention.
Fauna thinks that she has something that the moth might be interested in, so she's going to tell, like, in the same sort of secretive conversation, like, tell Nix and Vox, like, I think I might have something that will help us here.
I mean, we
you
only
willing to part
really
with it?
need help if we get caught.
Okay, but that was my fear. Are you planning on stealing this item? Because I don't know if we want to get this moth situation on... We don't want to be on their bad side.
The risk I'm willing to take for information that I need. We get in. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe we... Oh.
Nix is gonna cast message at this point into both of their heads and like, you both are admitting to a crime quite openly right now. Maybe we should use other methods of communicating. We don't know where this moth is or how much he can hear or what kind of security he has set up in this place.
I wasn't admitting. I was saying let's just try trading first.
If you have something that you think would be worth the trade, then by all means, makes our job easier.
It's worth a shot.
Why don't we just at least make sure that they have what they say that they have? Cricket doesn't seem all too sure exactly where this thing is, and I'd like to know it actually exists before we go calling the curator of this place forth.
I agree. Little recon never hurts.
And I think as you kind of wrap this conversation up, you arrive, you know, you've gone up the stairs now at the back. You have gone up a couple flights of stairs and you emerge from the staircase, and there's kind of a, you know, at the start to, like, you know, you went past the second floor to the third. At the start of each of these, there is just a kind of a little hallway that you can see leads into a larger room from the staircases after the first floor. And as you step into this hallway, I'm going to have everyone go ahead and make me a perception check.
$19?
19.
Nice.
I got
Getting
11.
good rolls tonight.
Not me.
I think too, but because this is a high stakes thing, there's also the thing about passive perception that, like, when you're in a space like this, especially when it comes to spotting things, that like the passive like, actually, you know what? I'll have to look up the rules on that specifically, but it doesn't matter as much in this case because as a group, two of you got a 19. So we'll say there are a few things that you, like, you know, you're kind of looking down this short hallway. You're maybe about 10 feet from, like, walking into this larger room. And you see just sort of like I think almost like it almost seems like it's part of the wall. You see a partial skeleton, like the torso and the skull and just an arm, but it is blackened and charred so that it's the same color as the wall, and is almost just sort of like fused to the wall, like reaching a hand out of it. And I think kind of like into like it's something that you're going to have to sort of skirt around to get into this room. But I will say on those
annihilation.
yeah, I will say on those 19s, you don't see like a trap or anything. That you just like it does appear like this whatever this corpse was, like this person triggered something, but you don't see any immediate danger as to like what this person would have triggered.
Nyx is going to very subtly and extremely gently, almost as if they're like ashamed to do it, just reach out and like brush their fingers along both of Fauna and Vox's forearms and give them both guidance.
Cool.
And I think I'm gonna let me look at this real quick. I'm sorry.
Fauna, while Nyx is doing that,
Go for it.
Fauna is going to pick up the cat because she is worried about what might be lurking around, and ask the cat, like, have you noticed anything that I should know about while we're walking?
Okay. Go ahead and I'll let you no, I'm playing the cat. I'll make that. What's the cat's perception?
Yeah.
What's the cat's? I should have this out.
Hold on.
I will tell you, I rolled a natural 19. So...
Okay, well, it's +5 with advantage, with double advantage on perception checks that involve smell, and regular advantage on just regular perception checks.
Nice.
Okay, 19's still the best. So with a +5 on that 19, that is a total of 24. The cat looks at you. Yeah, there's a lot of cursed stuff in here. I mean, that person obviously did not fare well. There's a few things in here that I don't know if I'd feel comfortable even walking near them, much less trying to take them.
Well, can you...
What's the trade?
That black seed that came out of the...
The thing I coughed, when I coughed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that the moth might be very interested in that because of where it came from and what it may be.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it felt really weird when I coughed it. I mean, that was weird. I've never I didn't eat it. What I'm trying to say is my body's never made anything like that before.
Right.
And I don't feel I don't feel good about it. So I would love it if we got rid of it.
It might be intriguing to the moth, and also I feel like maybe we could learn something about that place. The moth seems to know a lot about a lot of things, so.
But we don't want to call the moth right now.
None, apparently not yet.
Okay.
I feel like Nyx and Fox are feeling strong about this, so.
Okay.
But you can tell the difference between the cursed objects and the regular objects?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I am gonna put you back down, but could you just give us a warning if you notice anything that we should really avoid while we're walking around?
I can do that. And the cat hops down and kind of like goes up next to Cricket. And you can see Cricket sort of standing there next to and just sort of staring at the charred skeleton. And the cat kind of walks by, looks up, and then takes a few more paces into the room. So with the cat leading the way, you will have a forewarning if you do near like anything that has kind of like a radius to its effect. So 24 perception's pretty good. Cool. So I think that's like your perception into the, but I'm sort of gonna let that ride for the room too. On your 11, Fauna, you see a lot of items in here. They're like, again, it's kind of like that first floor, but you do notice that there is more space between things in here. There's a lot of like, there'll be like a sort of like almost like this little like spherical like a palm stone like up on a little display, and so it's maybe a little bit more curated up here. There's a little bit more space for some of these items to breathe, and it doesn't feel quite as jumbled or chaotic as the floor that you came in downstairs. I think on those two 19s, here's what I'm going to say. On the 11, that's what you notice, Fauna. On those 19s, I'm going to allow each of you to tell me if you're looking for anything other than that orb, too.
I think autopilot next is next is looking A for traps, and anything that would pose a threat, and B, after having seen the and interacted with the dagger back at the tavern, they're also kind of like scanning for anything that seems to be made of the same material or have the same like symbols on it, or just like have that same pull to it.
Cool. And what is Vox looking for, if anything, other than the orb?
The orb primarily, but also just for any signs that the moth is nearby, like
cool.
any dust or anything that would come off of moth wings, because she's been up close and personal with poison dust from a moth.
I will say this: you don't see any signs that like the moth has been here, or that really anyone's been to this floor, I think in quite a while. It seems not abandoned, but almost like, I think there's a good chance, if this floor is as dangerous, that even the curator of this space gives this floor a little bit of a wide berth also. I think there are a few things that you see as you're sort of like making your way through this floor. I think some of those items in particular, like you see kind of like over on the far wall, there is kind of just like hung from the wall, there's this golden circlet, and there's kind of like, these are just sort of the items of note, because you can also see that there's not a lot of other things around, so it's almost like these are on particular display, but hanging from the wall there's just sort of this golden circlet, very, very simple, hanging on the far wall. I also think, let me look at my list here. You also, in here, there is a pretty large cabinet. This cabinet is filled with, I think, there's no doors on it, so it's just sort of open. But it's this large cabinet that is just filled, pinned to the wall, are all these different masks. There's probably about 20 or so pinned into this cabinet, and they're all So it's hard to tell like the way that they're pinned, but you can tell that they're all sort of different faces. That various ways you see, like there's elven faces, human faces. You do see like maybe a couple dwarves, but they are like, hey, it's hard to make out the features simply because they're sort of hanging and sagging, but they are full, like, looks like these masks could be like, they'd cover your entire head. There is on a pedestal towards the center of the room just this single amber ring just kind of laid out on the pedestal. There is also, I think, a set of armor. There's a set of reflective armor that I think wouldn't necessarily, like, Vox and Fauna, it's not something you would necessarily bat an eye at. Nyx, this set of armor catches your eye because you notice it is an incredibly similar make and design to the armor that the Mirrored Knight wears. Same kind of helm, same kind of breastplate. The difference is instead of being like a very clear mirrored surface, it's almost like this is a very dark reflective glass, and it doesn't. It's almost kind of hard to see a reflection. If you look into it, you can almost see like fractals and cracks in this thing. But that is also on display towards the center of the room. And then I think towards the far wall, there's probably nothing near it for like almost 30 feet on any side. You see a pedestal about waist high, and on it is just this black spherical orb, and it does match the drawing. And I think the cat kind of gives this thing, like going sort of first in the group, gives this thing a wide berth and turns to look at all of you, and then at you, Fauna. There's a lot of cursed things in here. This one might be the most dangerous. This is what we're looking for, isn't it? Is this what we're looking for?
Yeah. Fauna, kind of like everyone's sort of walking, and Fauna kind of like puts out her arms to stop everyone from going any further.
Yeah, I would say you're about 30 feet shut, kind of like right at the clearing of other items around this.
Wait, so can we all see it now, or just the cat because the cat's ahead of us?
For sure, you can all see it now, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Fauna kind of like stops everyone from walking and says, the cat says that the orb is maybe the most cursed thing in this room. So,
of course it is. Leave it to Mira to send us to get the most cursed item in
She could have warned us.
God damn it.
Well,
Cricket, did you know that the orb was on this floor because it was dangerous? Cricket?
Cricket, see this orb and know it now? Very, very dangerous.
how? Why? What is it for? Also, thank you for bringing us to it, by the way.
Cricket not know its fur is very old. Indrid said is from long time ago, before even the fall of Ord.
All of the orb?
The fall of Ord, which if anyone wants to make a history check right now, they can.
Glass over. She has no concept of the history of the world.
Oh my gosh.
Can I do
got
a memory, though?
So,
16.
You can make me a memory check for it. So the charisma
Fauna
check.
doesn't know shit about anything because she's lived in the forest.
Yeah. Box, what was yours?
A 16.
I think on a 16 you do Ord.
Oh,
is,
wait, that's an ability too, and there's
Yeah.
a +4 there. Hold
Oh.
on.
I got a 7, so yeah,
Okay.
Nix's eyes just like, yeah,
That's
fall
a
aboard. Yeah, that tracks.
dirty 20.
Checks
on
out.
so on a dirty 20, Vox, you do know about the fall of Ord. Ord was an ancient city. An ancient city actually kind of like built in essentially like there's a bridge that spans the river to like kind of up in the north of the continent, and this bridge is broken. It is a massive stone bridge, and when I say massive, I mean like this bridge is as wide as the city, because built on this bridge over the canyon that the river flows through, there once was a city, and this was the city of Ord, but well over 1,000 years ago, the city was destroyed, including the bridge, and the ruins fell into the river below. And I think on a rough 20, like, you know, to have some sort of like curio item like this dated back to like the fall of Ord, or even before the fall of Ord, is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna trade for your cat's hairball.
I don't know. We don't know what it is, but it came out of that place.
Oh,
Can I do an Arcana check?
Yeah.
great feeling
Make an
about
Arcana
this.
check for me.
While you're rolling, Nix is gonna point over towards the armor, and my memory is shoddy, but when I first met you all, you were running from the Mirrored Knight, correct?
I wouldn't really say running, but definitely
Strategic retreat. That
We were
is
running.
very similar to what I've seen them wear before.
So another cursed item to add to the list of all these cursed items. Now there's a cursed knight following us around. I just want to get this orb and get out. Maybe take one of those along the way, though. Vox is gonna saunter closer to the masks.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
I roll to see if one of these is not cursed and just a regular decoy mask.
So you could for sure make an
A
Arcana
normal
check
mask.
on this cabinet. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going.
I got an 8, by the way, on that other Arcana
On the
check,
Arcana
so-
check.
Yeah.
You reach out, like, you can feel walking into this room, Fauna. I think the amount of magic that is in here, it is, I think, bristling with, you know, there are some things in here that are just minor curious and trinkets, and they're not really powerful at all. But there are some things in this room that hold power and are, like, these are things that, you know, even Nerelith would have been cautious around. And I will also say that none of the things feel like a familiar type of magic to you in here. It all seems pretty foreign.
I got a 14.
Cool. On that 14, you don't feel, I think that you are observing this thing, and I think on the 14, there is some kind of a weight attached to each one of the masks in this cabinet. I think on a 14, I'm going to give you the technical side of, like, I'm not going to give you all of the, like, practical information on these masks, but I'm going to give you some of it. I think you can feel that there is no mask in here that doesn't carry some kind of weight or attachment to it. I think as you get closer, it's almost like you have this fleeting glint, just enough to know, not specific thoughts or memories, but almost like feelings, like these faces, these masks feel like at one point they belonged to people. Like the faces belonged to people.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And, but I will give you, a 14 is good enough to know that taking one of these masks would allow the wearer to cast Disguise Self at will and appear as the person that they are wearing the mask of.
Yeah, Vox is gonna snatch the closest one and shove it into her bag. She's very, I'll worry about these consequences later.
Cool.
This seems like a bad idea.
You snatch one of the masks and you put it into the bag.
Does Fauna see her do it?
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand. Yeah,
hand?
make a sleight of hand check.
That's an 18.
Ooh.
Hold on. This is important to
Does
look at because
does a
Fauna's
tiebreaker
passive
win?
perception is
Yeah.
18, but I can't remember who the tie goes to. If it goes to the person making a check, or if it goes to, I think, passive perception.
Wait, do I get proficient? Do I have perception as a proficiency?
You do, but that,
Like, do I get
that
the-
+8 is your score.
That's part of your
That includes it,
passive
okay.
perception already.
Yeah.
I just still don't have those marked. Eli, we need to talk about
Oh yeah, we should. On it.
Wait, but no. Do I get anything because I also have the cat who would maybe be watching?
I don't think the cat's passive perception isn't as high as yours. It's only a 15, and so the cat wouldn't notice. And passive perception, you don't have advantage or disadvantage on it. It just is.
Right.
Let me look.
Look, Fox, she got sticky fingers, and that's gonna help her.
We're
and she
here
knows
for a
it.
purpose. Keep it
Yeah,
together.
and part of the purpose she was coming for was for disguise, so that she could murder someone.
So
Peren's gonna go through his
s-
pockets later and find a
when
face
the
and
check-
be like, "What the fuck?"
When the check or the DC is equal to the passive perception, the character with that passive perception will notice. So on an 18 sleight of hand, Nyx isn't going to notice. The cat's not going to notice. Bert and Amos don't notice. Jeff doesn't notice. Fauna, you see Vox slip that. You see her slip that mask onto her, into her bag.
Fauna's gonna kind of like sidle up to her to like not like draw attention of the group, but we're here for a reason, and if we can't complete the other mission, things could go very badly for us. Are you sure you want to jeopardize that by stealing something that we're not even here to take home?
I have more than one mission right now. One is for information, and the other is for getting close to do what I have to do with whatever information's handed to me. If this is going to give me the opportunity to get close, then that's what I'm going to do.
To get
Now-
close to what?
It depends on the information. I haven't really been told, but I know that I can't keep walking around this city with a bounty over my head, and I have to remain kind of disguised. So this is the perfect disguise. Just wearing the face of someone else.
But you know that we would protect you, right? You're jeopardizing the group.
I have to protect myself, and I have to get close to who I need to get close to as easy as I can. If you really want to throw a fit over this, just pretend you didn't see anything.
Well, I definitely couldn't take you in a fight, so I'm not gonna try and fight you right here, but I just think this is a bad idea.
So the orb. How are we getting the orb?
As you,
I
yeah.
I just wanted to do a check as well on the ring.
The amber ring?
Yes.
Yeah, make an Arcana check for me.
Yeah, that's a 5. Never mind.
No, 5. It doesn't feel cursed, but you are not sure what this ring does.
Awesome. They have a history with cursed jewelry going badly, so they're gonna avoid that.
I think it's
Fauna has a ring. Does this ring seem like it is related to her ring in any way?
You can make me an Arcana check on the ring.
Oh. 13.
On a 13...
No, wait. No, sorry, I can't do math. 11.
On 11, it's not related to your ring. I think you can tell that this ring in particular is not cursed. It does feel like there's some kind of strange magnetism that you're not sure what it is to this ring, though. Not necessarily that's attracting you, but that this ring is meant to attract some kind of energy. But I think as you're like going over to observe this ring too that Nyx has been looking at after having that discussion with Vox and Bucks, you kind of turn to go observe that space that the orb is around. You hear, and I think in the distance you can tell it's not on this floor. You hear this long, just kind of shrieking call. And I think as that happens, like, Cricket looks up at all of you a little bit nervously.
Not good when it's awake, not good when it's awake. Very bad, very bad.
What's wrong, Cricket? What's awake?
The keeper, even Indra doesn't go near the keeper.
The keeper? I thought you said it was just you and the moth in here.
Why, we're the only people here, and the keeper not a people.
What is it?
Cricket never seen it. Only heard it once before like this. Makes...
Spectre? Monster? What happens when it pops up? When it's awake?
Makes sounds to think... Make you think it's not where it is. It's always hiding, but when it makes sounds, it means it's hunting.
And just like that, Nyx poofs off into shadow and casts invisibility.
Okay.
Oh, I was just like, what
So
the?
you see Nyx disappear. The cat looks up. What the fuck? What? Hey, what's that? No, and I think like the cat is starting to arch its back. You all see like Amos, without saying anything to the party, immediately like flies off and starts heading kind of like back for the stairs that you came from.
Everyone's leaving.
And I need everyone to make a perception check for me.
There's a
18.
16.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Ooh,
5.
Neither of those are very good. Okay.
Can I redact my invisibility actually and do pass without trace instead
For sure. Yeah.
to affect the others as well?
Yep. Yeah, I think you're in
Same concept.
Yeah,
They
you're all in a
still,
close
like,
enough
pull
space.
shadow in. So.
Yep. Cool. Which I think that gives everyone a plus 10 to stealth checks, right?
Plus 10 to deception or dexterity, not deception.
Cool.
Cool.
So that's stealth acrobatics.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And sleight of hand. Plus 18 to my sleight of hand currently.
Oh,
Let's go.
beans,
That
it's
orb's
too
mine.
bad. Yeah. And you cast that, and as the shadows start to envelop the group next, and you see Amos fly off for the stairs that you came from. Anyone that got under a 9 for their perception, you're just kind of like looking around again. You're hearing you hear another one of those cries. Now it's not coming from underneath you. Now it sounds like it's coming from like somewhere maybe in a room above you. Anyone who got over a 9 in perception, because I rolled very low on that stealth check. Anyone who got over a 9 is going to look over and see Bert standing there, just staring at the ground. And following Bert's line of sight, you look down and you see that there is just a massive print in the dust of the floor of it looks almost like 3 enormous knuckles, each almost probably the size of Bert, are just made in the dust directly in front of him. And I do need the 3 of you that are in the room to roll initiative. As you you see the dust on the floor whip up, and you see Bert go from staring at the ground to kind of looking directly in front of him, and all of a sudden he gets squeezed in a little bit and picked up about 2 feet off the floor.
I got a 22.
No!
Not Bert.
18.
Okay, hold on. Let me write those down real quick. So, Nix, what was that?
See, 22.
22.
Elijah's
Fox,
calling the NPCs.
18.
18.
We collected too many.
Yeah, and Fauna, what's Fauna's?
I got 4.
Okay.
And what's Jeff's?
Yeah, let's roll for Jeff, too. That's a nat 20 for Jeff.
Fuck yeah,
Nice.
Jeff. Let's go.
Nyx definitely would have included him in the Pass Without Trace as well.
Cool. So hold on. We're gonna do the results. Which on the nat 20, I'm going to allow Jeff to do a quick draw action, which is that you see Bert raise off the ground. You see Jeff, who's just been silent in the back the whole time, take out this enormous spear that I think actually has a tip on both ends. Just takes out this enormous spear, extends it, and you see him slash up with it. And you see, hold on, yeah, that's definitely a hit. Okay, hold on. You see Jeff slash up. You see this dark red, almost viscous fluid spray out in the air. Bert falls to the ground, and as Bert falls to the ground kind of in a heap, you see what you did before, which is that this outline starts to almost flicker, and you see this very, very large shape come into focus, which long, it's almost this gray-green serpentine body, and there are probably no less than 6 sets, not of feet, but of large, almost arms, protruding like on either side of this, sort of like they would be legs, but they're just arms, and you can see each like of these 3-fingered hands on the end of these arms. It's using them almost like feet, like walking on its knuckles. But right now, 2 of those sets of arms are not being used, and one of them is the one that just got slashed that was holding a bird, and it just has this enormous kind of gaping, almost less a serpentine-like head and more almost like a worm-like head, like no visible like distinct snout, but a large like mouth with all these kind of fanged teeth in it, and just very, very small like sets of like 6 slitted eyes that go back, but they're incredibly small, almost like little vents on the side of its head. And as it gets, you now hear like this, you hear this screech, this deafening screech that it lets out from directly in front of you, and it's the same noise that you've been hearing in other spaces, but it is now directly in the shape in front of you. And I will say, with that, we are going to cut back to Atticus's 19 wisdom saving throw to look into, as you like make eye contact with the fire going in the forge for the first time since you've been down in the Sundered Hearth.
Atticus doesn't know what Bert's doing, but he's just hoping he's having a great time. You hope he's on a fun, lighthearted adventure.
You see this? It's all about its centrifugal force, you know? Like you spin this part, and the weight just spins. Here we go, here we go. Yep.
Atticus, this sort of fades behind you as you begin to see a shape in the flames. A 19, though, is pretty good. And so while, as you begin to see this shape emerge, I think there's this knot of dread that begins to coil in the pit of your stomach. It's the same feeling that you felt the last time you looked into a fire and you saw the shape of that gaunt giant bird appear. But you see something different in this shape. And as it sort of like begins to like almost like widen, and the fire really takes up your entire field of vision and everything else kind of fades away, you have a feeling. Before, when that thing in the fire talked to you, you felt like it was in control. It was pulling you in, whether that was like not necessarily trying to entrance you, but basically trying to convince you into a bargain, and you definitely felt like this thing was in control. You now feel like you're getting a look almost through a 2-sided mirror at something that maybe the entity doesn't want you to see. And as the fire takes up your vision, you see an enormous city, larger than the one that you're in now, which is saying something. Aspari is like probably the largest city on the continent. This city is much, much larger. It's more concentrated too, like you just sort of like builds up, and the towers and parapets and things like that get higher and higher, sort of just making almost like this triangle shape with its skyline. And this city, you see, is on a truly massive stone bridge that spans a canyon. And I think, no, I'm not going to make you make a check for this. You've been around enough. You know there's only one city like that built on a massive bridge like that, and that is the city of Ord. But it's in ruins. It was in ruins like well over 1,000, well before you were born. And you are seeing it now. It's not in ruins. It's built. But what you also see is that, like, this city is wreathed in flame, and it's not wreathed in flame because you're seeing it in flames. You're actually seeing this city on fire. And as you come in closer, you're beginning to see like more close up the destruction of those towers collapse in on themselves, and you hear the sound not just of collapsing buildings, but you hear the sound of people, of cries for ones that are lost in the fire, of people searching. You hear the cries of people that are trapped by this city as it burns to the ground. And as you go further into the heart of this thing, you are in a room with a large black circular table in the center, and you see that there are 5 giant eggs in the center of this table, and they're like glowing almost like they've just been like pulled out of a fire. You see that there are no less maybe than like 24 people in black robes that are just like sprawled across the floor, with one of them kind of like at the far end of the table who's actually like sprawled onto the table. And you can see there's just kind of a pool of blood underneath them as they're sprawled onto this table. And you see that all of these eggs too, actually, like of the 5 of them, 4 are hatched. They're still glowing but they're like, there's just fragments everywhere. And then you see like a crack appear in the 5th and final egg, and 3 like these little talons kind of make their way in as the egg cracks, and you just see the featherless like much smaller than you've seen it before, but still like larger than a person, as you see this almost fragile right now featherless large bird just be like extend its long neck and just start to kind of like scrape its way out of this eggshell. And I think from this room around you, like no check necessary, you start to hear this thundering sound, and you realize that like the bridge and the city is collapsing.
Does Atticus feel like they're actually like this is happening in real time, like that they are in danger?
You do not. You, I think on that wisdom save of 19, you feel like you're seeing an event that happened in the, like you're getting to look in. Last time you saw this entity in the fire, it was in control and spoke to you. You feel like now you're getting a look into something that happened in this creature's past, and it would look like the birth of this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think
Atticus just keeps watching.
I think the vision fades. And I think I already established like you knew what Ord was. I don't think you need to make another check for this either. Like you know what you just witnessed was most likely the fall of Ord. And at the heart of it all was that creature in the fire that has been haunting you now ever since the inn back in Palam.
Atticus, when he snaps back, he's just gonna like kind of stare at the fire and just kind of like gives a little smirk, like not anything that anyone can notice, but like pieces are coming together and he's realizing certain things. But he's gonna stare at the fire for a little bit, smirk, and then turn back around to his companions and just kind of listening to what they're why as he's walking back to talk just hearing what's going on.
You feel that, Maury? You feel that weight in your hands? And Peren has coaxed Maury into holding the flail. Or at least is trying to.
Maury's kind of has his hands out, but is kind of like not coming to touch it. Just
yeah.
I've seen what you've bashed with that. I don't want to touch it.
Right, faces and brains and torsos and yeah. No, I mean I've cleaned it, and he smudges some very clear dried blood in between some crevices in the intricate elvish carving. It's like super clean.
I don't consider your spit a cleaner, but sorry.
Well, I mean, it's like 90 proof, so you should.
Blood is a good lubricant for weapons, but you don't have any weapons, do you? You just have a book.
I have a mace, and like Maury pulls a mace out from his backpack. It's yeah. It's like one of those like the small sticks that typically fall because a squirrel broke it, and it's got just like a nail through it.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you do.
Whatever. Have you named your weapon yet? You gotta name your weapon.
Nail.
Stick with nails. A good name. It's a strong name. It's bold
Very
choice, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does it have a?
I don't think it was clear.
Does it have a
What
surname?
about you, Peren? Did you name yours?
I didn't name this, but it was named. Yeah, it's ornament of rights. It's from my childhood.
That's a pretty badass name.
Yeah, I guess. So
It's pretty cool.
You didn't say that very confidently. Are you confused about where it came from?
no.
Well, regardless, I mean, must be a pretty cool weapon if it already had a name and was given to you.
Yep. And Peren spirals it around and spins it over his head, and as he does it, he does the thing where he cycles out the action, and there's little tiny elvish gears, and the flail head sinks back in until it's a mace, and he slips them into his little thigh holsters, and he looks super cool while he's doing it, and then takes a big ol' swag of wine, and there's just wine all over his face.
As you take the swig of wine, Peren, you've felt that like little golden thread tether to, it's kind of like as soon as you knew that Amos was safe, kind of just like let it settle in and just kind of be background noise in your mind. You all of a sudden feel that thread pulled tight.
Ah!
And you feel immediately an anxiety particular to like almost like go ahead and make me an insight check real quick.
12?
On a 12, this feels a lot like Amos being who she is, like her own boundaries and attitudes and perceptions, but also like does try to take care of you in whatever ways that she can, and I think by extension others as well, especially if you've tasked her with that. And I think what you feel in this moment is the anxiety of a mother bird seeing that the children in her nest are about to be devoured by a serpent.
We need to go. We need to go right now. We have to go. We have to go this way.
Where are we going?
Peren is gonna turn in a full circle and just see if he feels any direction.
You do make me an investigation check real quick. Or no.
Well, this has happened.
This can be a perception check, actually. Make it. Let's make it a
well,
perception check.
Well,
give
this
me
is
an
happening.
extra
Atticus
4.
is gonna go run and grab his sword from his buddy.
So
his
roll
guy,
the
his
15.
friend.
Investigation would have made it 16, but being perception makes it 20.
I think on that 20, you feel the direction of it. You feel the pull towards the far east of the city. And you feel that the distance is like you'd never make it there in time. And I think as you turn, you feel feel your stool clatter on your back as you turn, strapped to all your other belongings.
No. No.
But we could sacrifice Bert, right? Like, Bert can die so the stool can live.
It's up to you. You know, it's how much you like the stool versus, you don't know Bert's in trouble, so. But your bird is in trouble.
But I can sacrifice something else I care about, right? And Peren really... We all know that Peren cares so much about Mari, so we could sacrifice Mari,
Mori
right?
steps away. I knew it.
I don't think it would work.
Middle of the conversation.
I think Peren is 100% ambivalent towards Mari.
Atticus is like, where are we going? What's the holdup?
Fuck. We need a door. I need a door. Is there a door?
I point at like 17 different doors in this area.
The vicinity.
Does that work? Is it through that?
Lots of doors around here, lad. What kind of a door do you need?
I just need a door.
And you feel the stool.
Peren takes
almost
the
like
stool off
somebody
his back.
tapping their finger on the stool.
Yeah. He takes it off his back and is holding it like in front of him like a child. Like it's Simba, and he walks over to a door. Just like whatever door. And he stands there for a moment, and he takes one of his remaining berries, and he smashes the berry and smears it all over the stool so that it will go to sleep.
Atticus looks at Thaddeus and goes, "What?
Make a perception check
happening?"
for me real quick as you do this.
14.
On a 14, you smash this berry onto the stool. No one else does, but faintly you just hear the words, "Oh, back to sleep again."
It's all right. It's okay. And Peren is gonna just kind of like, what is he gonna do? I think he's literally just gonna hand it through he's gonna walk over to whatever doorway this is in this place, and he's just gonna hand the stool through and look back at Mari and Atticus, and he's gonna say, "Follow me."
All right. Atticus is gonna look at Burgeon before he leaves and give him a little wink and said, "Well, there'll be more time to catch up," and is gonna head through the door.
Burgeon just looks at you like whatever's happening, like Peren's disposition has drastically changed in the last few seconds, but he knows not to question you, Atticus, and he just nods. Peren, as you reach the stool through, you feel rather than see, because you open the door is an opening to there's kind of like a side that you would assume that maybe there's a storeroom or something for Burgeon's little smith area that he has here. It's just black on the other side of the door. And as you hand the stool through, you don't see anything, but you feel something take it. You feel the weight of the stool released. Well, that was quick.
All things are fragile and wonderful, and they all die.
Well, maybe this time you can do something about it. And you feel the weight of the stool disappear completely. Think Atticus, and more as you walk over to the door, you just see it leads into darkness. What are the three of you doing?
Maury's going to follow Atticus through it and kind of shake his head at looking at the door, like the outline, and just go, "This is a tower thing again, isn't it?" And just keeps like walking and doesn't break pace.
I wish this was a tower thing, because then I could die and wake up again.
Atticus puts a hand on Peren's shoulder and just as quiet. And just says, or doesn't even say anything, just reassures. A reassuring hand on the shoulder.
Peren steps through.
And you enter the space, and the door shuts behind you. And that is where we're going to end this session.
Oh!
I will never forgive.
Sorry about
Hey,
Stewie.
you split the party
R.I.P.
before going into a really dangerous.
I know.
There's, yeah.
I know I did.
Beautifully.
What's funny is,
I know I
like,
did.
20 minutes ago, I was like, I'm going to save this special Lord of Doors bargain for such a long time. I'm going to use this in the 2025. This is going to be such a cool thing when I get to bust this out in 18 months.
Nope, it's just a sad. It's just a sad.
Just immediately.
Just immediately a sad.
Yeah, I guess if it's it is my fault technically because I split the party.
Peren is not going to sit again for the rest of this campaign.
We'll find you a new. I'll choke another.
How
demon out.
dare you?
And maybe get a functional map out of the bargain.
Yeah.
The map is functional. It just was not where we were at because we were in a place that no map could write down. Worth it,
As far
even
as
if
you
it's
know.
useless. Even if it's useless. No, because I used it. I used it after we got out.
Yeah, but also like
that's how we.
Yeah, the map's not going to let you like transport somewhere quickly.
Yeah.
It just shows you where to go.
But I mean,
Yeah.
you did get that key. I feel like that's going to be really important. So it's
Yeah,
not for nothing.
I mean,
I
a
told
couple important
y'all,
things.
I
A
wanna-
couple important things
I
happened.
want to be a noble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a massive lord drop too.
Yeah, I think
got a
you
mouse.
got it from both sides on the party
Yeah.
split. Was you got a little bit of information about a thing called the Fall of Ord.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, I guess I'm gonna end the stream, but our next session isn't until I think November 13th, so we have like
Oh wow.
3 weeks until the next castle run that we do.
No.
So yeah, three weeks to find out.
Plenty
But
of time.
then we're gonna start doing it every Monday after that, except for the first Monday of the month. So we'll make up for lost time in November.
Are we doing is this the night we're doing our after session chit chat, or are we saving that?
I totally think. I'm down to do that if everyone else is.